I'm ready to dance.
Good.
And that's what you and our lovely daughter were griping about yesterday when I selected the music in the car. Y'all were like, oh, all dad's music sounds the same. Meh, 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 meh. Griping because most of my music sounds like it should be played at a club where monkeypox is spread. Have you noticed that?
What does a club, like any club?
A
A
club
club
that
with
has
one night stands?
no, a gay bar.
Okay.
It's like dance music. Oh, hey, so good morning and welcome to Coffee Time
You're
with.
about to spill that.
Welcome to Coffee Time with Preston and Carrie.
Morning.
You try to sabotage me by overfilling the mug.
Yes, that's my whole purpose in life is to try to sabotage you. That's the only reason I'm here.
An epic battle of good and evil being played out on Facebook. Hey, the Fussliers have joined us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Great to see you guys. So, without further ado, Carrie, I think we'll get right into it. Something that I've been thinking about a while. I don't know if you've noticed this about me, Carrie, but I like blanket statements. Have you ever noticed that?
I have.
And I like yes or no questions. You see how the questions I'm asking you are yes or no? It's a yes or no question. So I like the yes or no questions, and I'll explain why. Because it forces a person to not be able to hide behind their explanations.
It forces someone to make a stand.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And then either defend or abandon that stand. That's okay.
Okay.
Oh, that's all you have to say about that? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. All right. Okay. So what I was thinking about, the blanket statement I was thinking about is you deserve everything that happens to you so that you'll deserve everything God will do for you. And I don't know if you've ever thought about that. I have, though. I spent a lot of time thinking. I don't know if you're anything like me, but I like to think. It's what I do for a hobby. I just think about stuff that shouldn't even be thought about.
Not early in the morning, you don't. That's why we have all of our coffee time rules, because you don't want to think that much. I do all my thinking on the front end of the day. You do all of your thinking on the back end of the day.
Well, no, I just don't want to think about the things you want me to think about. I want total freedom in my thinking. And you, in the morning, want me to think about stuff that you want done or things
No.
that need to be done.
No, those are just things I think about,
That's what I'm talking about.
but I don't present them to you anymore.
I don't want to share those thoughts. Those thoughts are yours, not ours. You keep those to yourself. So anyways, though, so I'm thinking I deserve everything that's happened to me. And I guess I got this thought process going because somebody had asked me, and you've probably been asked this before. If you could go back in time, what would you change?
Not a damn thing.
There you go. Not a damn thing.
No. I would never want to relive one moment in my past. I don't want to see the future changed enough that I would put myself through the past again.
Okay. Even if you could change something from the past to
I
get a
don't
better
care.
future?
No.
Would you say that everything that you went through in the past has helped make you who you are today?
I would say everything that I chose to do in the past made me who I am today, but it didn't have to be that way. But I wouldn't go back and change it. So yes, I think that you can pick stuff up from your past mistakes and things that you've done in the past, good and bad.
Okay.
I do think experiences in all aspects of life mold you into the person you are.
Okay.
I would never want to redo one.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I would say that
Not even a good one.
because well, no, you don't want to have to. That would be like relearning a lesson or changing a lesson, and you don't know if making that change would deprive you from having learned said lesson. good or bad, a good experience or a bad experience?
Well, learning lessons is, if you're meant to learn a lesson, God's going to find a way to make you learn that lesson.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't believe that he needs us to be horrible to teach us things.
Well, no, it's just that some people, I don't think that, yeah, I agree with that. God's not like, oh, I'm going to teach you a lesson. You're a piece of garbage. I just think God knows who his student is. And if he gets a hold of a student that is kind of stubborn, he's like, okay, I know how to teach you.
A student like you.
Oh, no, I'm not stubborn. I am malleable. I am malleable. God's hammer of correction comes down on me and molds me into whatever shape he desires. You are stubborn. You have to be shattered into a million pieces, melted down, formed back together, and start over from scratch every time. I know. I'm
No.
married to you. I know how it
No.
is. No? That's all you have to say to that?
Yes.
Suddenly you don't mind yes or no questions.
Because you're not asking them.
Okay. But I agree with that. And I think we've all been down that road of logic or thought where we go, man, if I look back and reflect over my life, would I change anything? And most people, I really don't know of too many people that say, yeah, I would go back and I would change this, and this. I would never have done that. As a matter of fact, people who do talk like that, and they're few and far between when they're asked with this question, they seem to be demonstrating a little bit of lack of gratitude. Even
Well, there's no point in even entertaining the thought,
okay.
right? Because you can't go back. And part of entertaining that thought, I wish I could do this. I wish I could go back and change things. I wish I would have done things different. It doesn't help you succeed in changing for the future.
Mm-hmm.
You get caught up in victimhood and you start letting the enemy run roughshod over your life. Whereas if you say, yes, that was my past, and here are some things that I did wrong, and then you move forward and you think of how you want to change the future,
Mm-hmm.
you have the ability to succeed. You
Okay,
can't
yeah.
succeed in going backwards. There's no succeeding in that.
There's no future in the past.
Right.
That's so deep. Did I just make that up, or is that a thing that I've heard before? There's no future in the past. No, that's exactly right. Anybody that's dwelling on the past, they're stunted. They're not moving forward.
Well, they're crippling themselves.
Yeah, sure.
They're wanting to live in moments that they cannot change.
Okay.
And it's going to keep them from moving forward.
Yeah. It's a
Whereas
bad
you
place.
can say, this is who I was and this is how I used to be,
Mm-hmm.
but I won't be like that anymore,
Yeah.
and move forward, and there will be success. So do you want to succeed or do you want to fail? That's the question.
Okay. So that's what brings me to my blanket statement of everything. If a person really believes, I wouldn't change anything from my past because it's made me who I am today, then you believe you deserve everything that happens to you. You agree or just what do you think? Any thoughts? You want me to just keep talking?
Well, I mean, I don't think people deserve anything.
Okay.
I think that
Fair.
it just is. And thinking that you deserve something is not being grateful for what you have. Thinking
Okay.
that you deserve this place in life is thinking that something is owed to you. And I don't think anything is owed to me. So,
So you don't think that anything is owed to you?
correct.
Okay. Good
Unless
point.
you owe me money. Just kidding.
You owe me an apology. I got a comment from the Fussliers. Everything we have done everything we have had done, I still can't read it. Everything we have had done to us has had a choice in them. Okay.
There's a lot of hads in there.
Lots of have and hads nots. No mark against the Fussliers. Everything we've had done to us we've had a choice in them. Okay. They had lessons and growth. Every choice has led to who you are in this moment.
Right. I agree with that.
Acceptance and learning to the lesson of moving forward. Acceptance and learning the lesson of moving forward. Okay.
I would agree
fair
with
enough.
that.
Yeah, that's a true point. And then they also follow up with, I disagree with that, Preston. Why? I don't deserve to be disagreed with.
They disagree with what?
What I'm saying.
Deserving.
You deserve everything that's happened to you.
Yeah.
And I bet that they would agree with what you were just saying, which is, I don't deserve anything. I don't deserve anything, good or bad. Okay, valid point. But let's talk about what we think a person does deserve. Does a person deserve, once they're alive, once they're here, what is it that they do deserve? Happiness? Does a person deserve happiness? Does anybody deserve happiness?
They deserve the right to choose for themselves who they're going to serve.
Okay.
They don't necessarily even deserve that because they were created by God. This is a weird question because I don't think that people deserve anything.
Okay. Okay, so if you don't deserve anything, then what you should be grateful for what you get.
Correct.
Even rape. Boom. There. And I went ahead and I didn't bring up
Even rape.
You're
so extreme.
I didn't bring up the extreme. I just knew somebody would, because I've thought about this before and I've played devil's advocate and I've had conversations similar to this before, and everybody, and you can look in the media right now, everybody and their brother does the same thing. If you say, I disagree with abortion, what about rape? Okay, okay, calm down. All right.
But again,
now all of a sudden you got to start talking about rape, which is completely different.
But that's a person thinking that they deserve a certain way of life. So it is part of the endless cycle.
Okay.
Take rape. That's somebody thinking that they deserve sex.
Well, that's the rapist.
The rapee is like, I don't deserve to give you sex.
Okay. But it's everything. And people, the world, anybody will always go to the extreme when you're making a blanket statement like this. When you're saying, you know what? I've thought about this. I've boiled it down to the truth of the matter as I see it. Not the truth, just... I'm not talking about objective truth. I'm talking about subjective truth. Once you really get down, because I like what you just said. And the Fusslier's position on that, which is, yeah, I'm starting to think that you just don't really deserve anything. So you should be grateful for what you get. And then somebody's going to come along and say, well, what about child trafficking? But we're talking about two different things.
But here's the thing. Are you asking if children deserve to be trafficked? Is that the question? Because bad things happen in an evil world. And if you don't deserve anything, then no, that child doesn't deserve to be trafficked. Just like you don't deserve to be raped. Just like the rapist doesn't deserve to fulfill that. I'm saying I don't think people deserve anything.
Okay.
Not that they deserve everything. I'm saying that they don't deserve anything.
You don't deserve anything. So where does that lead a person? They stand before God. Hi, God, I'm here to be judged by you. And by the way, I didn't deserve any of this. Not even the good stuff. What does God do with a bunch of people who don't deserve anything?
He views them as humble.
Okay.
And he enters them into the kingdom of heaven.
He enters them into the kingdom of heaven.
Did I say enters them?
No, yeah, it doesn't matter what you said. He
lets them in. No, I just think that, again, if you're a believer, you wouldn't think that you deserved anything. And everything that happens in your life, you think, okay, this is another thing that's happening for a purpose. I don't know what the purpose is. I don't have to know. But I know where to cling.
You think that Adam and Eve, in perfection, in the Garden of Eden, before the fall, before all the bad things that Eve caused to happen, happened. Did you catch that? Anyways,
Moving right along.
Before all that stuff happened, do you think that Adam and Eve were walking around like stubbing their toes in the Garden of Eden, or is that something that became after the fall of man?
I think it became after the fall of man.
Wow.
I do. And I
that
think
is so wrong of you to think that.
I think that because in that time, all the plants like watered themselves. There was a mist and all this stuff. Everything was perfect.
Self-watering plant.
Yes. They couldn't kill a plant.
Plant starvation.
They didn't have to. Seriously. They didn't have to go out and water a plant and watch it wither away and die because they weren't watering it enough. Or like I do, they were giving it too much love. And it died because they loved it too much.
Okay. They didn't deserve that.
So, I just think that there are things that came afterwards, and stubbing your toe.
No toe stubbing. Things. All the roots were down in the ground. The roots come up out of the ground because of erosion, which is a sinful act. Boom, you stub your toe, you got a problem. Got a comment from the Fusslers. I don't deserve the abuse I received. I didn't deserve the abuse I received as a child. I can't change it, but my trust in God. Okay, but I trust in God. Yes, exactly. Yeah. His plan and his healing is what changed my views because of God. I chose that. Now, that's a valid point. If you don't deserve anything, then you have gratitude for the things that you do get.
Right.
I like that.
Yes, I agree.
And that's true. And because
there's plenty of things in my childhood that happened that I didn't deserve. And there are plenty of things happening in my adulthood that I don't deserve. But if I look at it like I do deserve some of the things in my life, then you're on a downward spiral of choosing what you do and do not deserve. And that is not for you to choose.
Okay. So do you think that there's a problem? What do you think? Okay. This just came into my mind. So be patient with me. I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot. If a person walks through life and they're like, I don't deserve anything, I have gratitude, then what does a repentant heart look like? Because I think, from my own experience, a repentant heart looks like this. Lord, I deserve what's going on right now. I made my bed. I'm lying in it. I'm not asking you to bail me out of it. Just be with me as I go through the consequences of the crap that I did. That repentant heart.
Yeah. Right. I don't think that you deserve the stuff that you're going through, but I do think that people make choices and there are consequences to those choices. Do I think they deserve those consequences? No, because under the way life was supposed to be, everything was supposed to be perfect. And
no toe stubbing. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
And you weren't supposed to have to make those choices. I was in the middle of saying
I thought I could throw that out there and it wouldn't mess you up.
Anyway, so I can't remember what I was saying now.
I'll go back to talking. All right, so back to the repentant heart. What does a repentant heart look like if you say, I deserve everything I'm going through? That's kind of like the whole point of the prodigal son, right? He comes to himself. He says, you know what? I did this. I mucked all this up. I'm going to go home, see if I can at least just be a servant in the house of my father. That would be better than what I've done.
See, but I would say that that's different. I would say that he said, this is the consequence of how I decided to live my life.
Yeah. Okay.
Not that he deserves it. Mm-hmm. People do not deserve bad things to happen in their life, even if they make the wrong decision.
I would say we don't really know what is truly bad or truly good.
Right.
So if we say, well, I didn't deserve that bad thing, because you don't know how God is going to use that bad thing, you can't and shouldn't label it as good or bad. This is a blessing from God. Remember that time we got that RV given to us for free? Carrie here was working in an RV park, and we had been wanting an RV, a motorhome. And she called me one day when I was on the job, and she was like, guess what? What? Some tenants in the RV park are moving, and they can't take their RV with them. They are migrant workers, construction people. So they're moving, and they actually need somebody to just take this motorhome It would do them a huge favor. And they want to give it to us. And I was like, yes. So we got the RV. And I was so excited. And I remember hanging up the phone with you, saying a little prayer of thanksgiving. Thank you, Lord. You've heard my prayers and you've given me what I've wanted. Thank you. I didn't deserve it, but you have blessed me. Fast forward like 8 months after messing with this thing and working with it and realizing just all the, not even the things that were wrong with it, because it ran. We drove it around. The stuff inside of it worked. The air conditioner worked. The water pumps and all that stuff. It was
so dirty.
It was dirty, but everything worked. And there was some little latches and doors that needed to be repaired. But so it wasn't like horrible. But then your boss, who owned the RV park, because we were just keeping it at the RV park, your boss comes along and says, you either need to start paying me to keep that RV there, or you need to move it out and store it someplace else. Then I realized, oh my gosh,
it's a curse.
This RV is going to start costing me money. I thought it was free. It's not. The happiest day of my life was when a big giant hurricane came through and flooded hundreds of thousands of people's homes. This is how much God blessed me. All these people got their homes flooded so that somebody I knew or whose parents lived down in Port Arthur and needed an RV to stay in while they were rebuilding their house. I heard this friend of mine talking like this, and I was like, your parents need an RV? I've got an RV for them.
See what happens when you think that you deserve things? You get excited and joyful when something horrible happens to someone else.
When horrible things, God had to flood all these people so that he could teach me a lesson.
Right. That's why I don't believe we deserve anything.
But I mean, obviously I'm being facetious when I say that.
Right.
But the happiest day of my life in that moment
was waving goodbye.
Was early in the morning when I saw that RV leaving the RV park, because we lived right behind this RV park. And I heard this beep, 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 big truck noise. And I opened the window and I looked out, and a big giant tow truck was taking that thing off to Port Arthur to be a blessing to somebody else. And you know what I thought at that moment? God, I never want to ask you for anything ever again.
Yeah, because
I just want to accept what you give me.
Again, we try to wrap our humanistic minds around the things that are happening, and it cannot be done. If you believe in living in a spiritual world, you have to believe that everything's spiritual. And there are things that we will not be able to understand because we don't know the whole story. And as soon as you think, well, I don't deserve this, and I do deserve that, and I don't deserve this, but that one I deserve, and that guy over there doesn't deserve that, but that person deserves this, you put yourself in this endless cycle of being a judge.
As a matter of fact, I would say the only sin that there really is, the only sin that exists, and everything is rooted in this place, in this mindset, in this thought, whatever. The only sin, thinking that you're the judge.
And I think it's interesting that in the Bible, it points to this by saying there are consequences for the things that you do, so that you're not caught up in what you do and don't deserve.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can read the Bible and think that you deserve anything. I really don't. I think that it's pretty clear there are consequences for your actions. And so you are going to be guided to do what's right and do what's holy under the eyes of God. And you will either choose to do that or you will not choose to do that. And when you do not do that, there will be consequences for your actions.
Right. Like monkeypox is not a curse sent from God to punish gay people. It's just a consequence of going to a dance party and rubbing up on strangers and going home and going to bed and having depraved fun times with a total stranger that you don't know.
It's
just it's a side effect of making that choice. It's not really a curse from God.
It's a consequence of being promiscuous is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Monkeypox.
Anyways, though, no, that's right. And I realized, you know what? I'm not going to ask God for anything anymore. I am just going to accept whatever happens. And that is the only sin, as I was just saying. The only sin there really is. And when I think of my own life and the things I've done and the motivations behind it, it always comes back around to this. I thought that I could decide what was good and evil for me. And that would influence me to do things that would end up having an effect on other people, because nothing you do, you're not living in a vacuum. You're not living on an island. There's nothing you can do that only affects you. It's going to have an impact on somebody else in one way, shape, or form. So I do look at it from the aspect of everything that I do or everything that happens to me, I must deserve it because God is allowing it to happen to me, but I don't know why. I'm going to have to be patient and find out. Now, that's not, I know a blanket statement on the surface where it sounds like the opposite side of the coin of what you're saying. Mm-hmm. But when we narrow it down, when we really talk about it, unpack it, explain it, blah, 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 it really is the same thing. I really don't deserve anything, so let me just go in gratitude and see what happens and have no judgment about anything that happens to me, bad or good. Only observing what happens to me and then observing what God might be doing in the midst of that situation.
Well, telling yourself that you deserve bad things also means that you have to deserve good things.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If
good
you
point.
deserve the bad, then you deserve the good. And that's why I don't believe that way. I'm not owed anything from God. And that deserving something means God owes me something.
Okay, good point. So, how do you live your life then? You live your life walking around not observing anything. You live your life. How do you store treasures in heaven if you don't deserve anything? What do you think? And that just came to me. I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just saying, if I don't deserve a damn thing, then how can I store treasures in heaven? That's an actual question I have.
Here's the real question. Do you think you deserve to go to heaven by the way that you live your life?
Yes.
Okay. I don't. I think that the Lord looks upon me, decides if I decides if I'm going to go, and then I go. He is the judge of who deserves and who doesn't deserve.
No, that's absolutely
right.
So
I never am like, I deserve to go to heaven because of this thing that I've done, or I don't deserve to go to heaven because of this thing that I've done. So how do I store treasures in heaven? I don't have to think that I deserve something. I just automatically do the things that I feel like the Father is calling me to do, and walking in obedience causes the treasures in heaven.
Okay.
Not the feeling of deserving what I'm going to get.
All right. Nice. Yeah.
Because again, feeling like I deserve bad or good is putting me in the judgment seat.
That's a very good point. Very good point. That's exactly it. And I don't think that I deserve to go to heaven. I don't know what I deserve. I got a pretty good idea that I don't deserve a damn thing. So what I do get, I'm grateful for. Even if it's a crazy, horrible, bad, air quote, bad situation, I say, I have learned to, with patience, back up and say, Lord, I don't know what to make of this. Let me be patient. Let me see what you're trying to do, what you're trying to show me, what could happen from this. Because there are so many testimonies of people who labeled themselves a victim. They bought into, I don't think anybody labels themselves. You have to buy into a lie from Satan. Whether you label yourself a good person or label yourself a bad person or a victim, a victor or a victim, that's a label. And God doesn't assign labels. He assigns judgments. But the enemy comes along, the world, and we buy into a label about ourselves that defines us and identifies us. Isn't that interesting? Our identity should come from getting to know the real us, because the Holy Spirit lives inside of us, And now we behave like the Son of God. Therefore, we're Christians. We identify as the Holy Spirit living through us. That's our identity. But everything in the world wants to get you to identify as something other than God living through you and in you and being like Christ, because Christ had the Spirit of God descend upon him. Then he did all the stuff that he did. And to be a Christian means to be Christ-like. So there's so many testimonies of people walking around saying, well, I'm a victim of this. And it holds them back. But then for as many of those testimonies and false labels, there are also people who are like, because this thing happened to me, I overcame it, and now I can do fill in the blank. Now they go on to achieve great things. They write a book, they start a program. I don't know what they do, but they overcome something, and then they're able to be of service to other people. Mm-hmm. Not to be the guru of other people, to just be of service and be there and understand what maybe somebody else is going through.
I also think that if people believe that they deserve certain things, mm-hmm. it holds them back from being able to forgive.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
You did this to me and I didn't deserve it. And so you don't deserve to be forgiven.
Yep.
And again, it goes back to being the victim and not being able to overcome. And that's exactly what the enemy wants. He wants you to judge things as I do or do not deserve this, so that I can be the judge of if this person should be forgiven or not. And we see this all the time today in movies where it has like a child molester, but then it gives a backstory of the child molester. So like what a horrible life they had or whatever. Yeah. And it kind of pulls at your heartstrings and you're like, was it really their fault? Was it, you start like trying to wrap your mind around that. And the fact is, sometimes people have really crappy lives.
Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah.
That's just how it is. Some families have to go through war. Some families are imprisoned for their beliefs. Some women have to wear burqas. I mean, that's just how life is. Do they deserve that? At some point, you have to say, I don't deserve anything.
Okay.
So how can I move forward from here?
Fair
because
point.
The real battle is in your mind, right?
Sure.
We all know that. The real battle is in your mind, and the enemy is constantly trying to break you by putting stuff in your mind. Mm-hmm. And the only way you're not broken is to be able to recognize that as, I don't deserve anything. That's the enemy. Mm-hmm. All I can do is forgive and move forward. Yeah. All I can do is forgive and move forward.
Yeah,
I don't deserve anything. All I can do is forgive and move forward.
Yeah. And when you're making, when psychology, Hollywood, whoever wants to delve into the cause of the effect, they want to go into the backstory of this person's a serial killer because of their upbringing. And look, there's a lot of truth in that. They can what's that word I'm looking for? Profile people. They go, oh, this person, this, and this happened. Therefore, that's why they're a psychopath. Yeah, it's all true, which is the state of the world. Everyone born into a delusion in a fallen world where everybody thinks what they're doing is right in their own eyes. Therefore, they think they're God. They've judged what they're doing as right, instead of stepping back and going, I'm just doing this because I was taught to do it, or because I was made into a victim of somebody else. And this is where forgiveness comes in. If you got somebody who's a psychopath because they were beat by their alcoholic father or molested or whatever, so then they go on being a psychopath and victimizing other people, it's like, well, you got to look at your psycho father, your alcoholic, abusive father, and go, how did he become that way? Mm-hmm. How did the person who taught him to be like that? How did the not the victim, but how did the perpetrator become the perpetrator? You could follow that all the way back to the Garden of Eden.
Right. Because at some point they were a victim.
At some point, exactly.
And some people go through very similar situations, and some go down an evil path and some go up a righteous path. It's just how it is. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no way to wrap your mind around it. These are things that I believe one day in heaven, when we're all sitting around drinking coffee together, we'll just naturally know because we'll have a supernatural understanding. But right now on earth, we're bound by our humanity.
Okay.
So all you can know is there are spiritual things that I don't understand.
I think it's amazing once you finally realize, and I don't know about y'all, but I have come to this realization. I am not in control of anything. There's nothing I'm in control of.
Especially me.
You're not even in control of you. You're all over the place.
No.
Or emotional, as a lot of people call it. But we've talked about this. No such thing as an emotional woman. Only women who are all over the place, and they're designed to be like that, so it's okay. But I realize I have no control over anything, even my own behavior. And you might go, well, wait a second, hear me out. When my behavior is out of control, it's because I'm following Satan, and he's now the master of me. And the more I realized that and observed my behavior, instead of judging it, instead of lying to myself and saying, well, I'm in control and I'm doing that, and that's good and that's bad. The real me, the real you, is a soul in a body, observing. And so many people are asleep. They're unconscious. They're dead, if you will. And they haven't been born again. They haven't woken up. They haven't come into real life. And they're just totally delusional and unconscious in this stupor caused by Satan, that they don't even realize that they're under the persuasion of like the Pied Piper. The things you're doing, if they're evil, it's because you're oblivious to who your real master is. Once I woke up and saw the truth, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to hell and suffer hell because I'm just asleep at the wheel, not paying attention. But God woke me up. I could see it for what it is. I stopped judging myself as, oh, I'm just a sinner. I'm this. I go, man, I'm just a slave of a sinful spirit in me. God saved me from that. Now I'm of God. The only choice, I don't have any choice in the matter. I only do good because God is my Father. And I only do what the Father does. I have no choice. The only choice I get is to go back asleep or to stay awake and stay in the light. You want to stay in the light or you want to go back to the dark? That's it. And that's the only choice you get in life. But people are walking around going, oh, I'm in control of my life. I'm making decisions. If you're unconscious and you are a slave to Satan, you have no choice in the matter. If you have been born again and it's not you who lives, but Christ who lives through you, you're not even in control of that. You are just a servant of whatever master you've chosen. So when I look at my life and I look at situations, do I deserve this? Do I deserve that? I did bad. I did good. I just can't even do it anymore. I just sit back and go, I have no idea. I'm not in control of any of that. And anytime, which you were talking about, labeling yourself prevents you from forgiveness, you're right. And I know you're right because it's in my notes. That's the same conclusion I arrived at when I thought about this. I brought it down to that conclusion, which is, if I'm going to go at things judging good and evil, right or wrong, bad or good, being grateful or ingrateful, if I'm going to do that, it's just going to prevent me from being able to forgive. And I'm a child of God. I have to be like Christ. And what did Christ do? He just forgave. And Christ even tells us, he tells his disciples, freely you've been given, freely you should give. All authority in heaven has been given to you to go and forgive. Do we even really think about the implications of what Jesus was saying when he said that? All authority has been given to me, Jesus said. So therefore I give it to you. Whoever you forgive will be forgiven, and whoever you don't forgive won't be forgiven. There's a lot of power and authority in that. And if we're walking around trying to decide who deserves this and I deserve this, I deserve that, or I was a victim, or I was this. Any label other than I'm a slave to God, I can only do what God wants me to do. We're going to miss a tremendous opportunity to exercise the power and authority of God on this planet and change lives. And how do we do that? We realize I'm not in control. I can only do what God wants me to do, or I'm asleep and I can only do what Satan wants me to do. And we walk around and we go, well, I didn't deserve anything, therefore I'm grateful. That person is trying to screw me over, but they don't even realize what they're doing. They are just a unconscious slave. I can forgive them because they know not what they do. Wow. There you go. Want to be like Jesus? Stop trying to figure out whether or not you deserve anything and start observing what's going on. Then you will see. Once you see the truth about your own situation, you will see the truth about everybody else's situation. You will no longer hate them or resent them or anything. You'll just actually have pity and mercy and compassion for them and go, wow, they don't stand a snowflake's chance in hell. Look at all that. All right, we're going to end on that. Anything else you want to say about that? Excellent. Hey, Fussliers, thanks for joining us. Very nice. Thanks for getting involved in the conversation. Very good points about overcoming. And to everybody else, have a great Sunday. See you again next Sunday.
Bye.
When we're back at it. Goodbye.